Hello everyone. Remember that one time when Namco licensed official Tekken softcore porn in order to promote the launch of Tekken 5 DR? I bet I have your attention now. Maybe you don't remember, maybe you never knew about it. I'm willing to bet that Namco hoped that you don't remember, and that's really funny to me. Wouldn't it be awkward if some dickhole Swede started talking about it on the internet? I don't think it's a secret that Tekken players are thirsty fuckboys all, but I've realized that our degeneracy pales in comparison to that of the people who actually make this game. I've been watching a lot of Iceberg videos lately on YouTube, and I guess the idea of an Iceberg video is you explain something in increasing or I guess descending levels of obscurity. You put stuff that most people know about on the top, and then at the bottom, things that people probably don't know, right? So I started to think, what would a Tekken Iceberg look like? And I spent 2 or 3 days, and I had a lot of fun researching all of these obscure things that have been happening with this franchise throughout the years. And I found a lot of stuff that just felt really creepy and really thirsty and really weird. And I realized that I could probably turn that into its own iceberg. And that's a much funnier idea. So we're going to talk about it. I'm kind of stoked about this. We're going to remove this picture of a 17-year-old girl taking her clothes off while holding an eggplant next to an older Japanese gentleman. This is official art published by Namco, by the way, so that I can show you what I've been working on so far. I'm calling it the Tekken Core Values Iceberg, and it's definitely not finished, but I want to talk about my progress and a couple of my favorite picks so far. I just want to say here that I'm never going to include anything in this that has to do with real world people, because that's not my thing. And this also isn't an opinion. I'm not trying to mobilize something here or say something about Namco. I don't really care. I just think this is like a big bizarre joke in a way, and I like laughing. I guess the point of the video is there's going to come a point in the future when somebody criticizes the Tekken team for something, and they're going to start talking on social media about their beliefs and core values as a company. And when that happens, linking this video to them will be really, really funny. But let's look at this. Again, you probably recognized most things, Frozen, Nina and Anna, and so on. But that, goes into this whole thing of age, and underage characters in the game. And it's funny how Namco do seem to try and bend over backwards to make sure that we either don't know how old a character is, or that they're, about just under legal age. It just happens over and over and over with these daughter characters and stuff. But it's kind of a fun game that you can play with yourself. You can guess how old some characters are supposed to officially be in the game. So, for example, do you know how old Lily is canonically as of Tekken 7? The answer is 16, and that hasn't prevented Namco from, again, printing official art of her, sucking on popsicles in a micro bikini and stuff like that. So I think it gets really creepy. But then again, you could show me a picture of that character and say that she's 16 or 20 or 26 or 36, and I'd probably buy it because they don't really look human. It's, weird pastel anime characters. There's not a lot of realism to it. But if that's the case, why do you decide that what you want to create over and over and what you think that your fans will respond to are characters that are way too young to look the way they do and do the things they are doing, and things that you are officially licensing and publishing, right? One female character that I wanted to mention briefly is sexy female Tekken Force. And this goes back to the obscure but sort of well-known, I guess, Tekken Revolution character poll, when people in the community could vote on what should be the next character in Tekken. So sexy female vampire was one option. That was the option that won, and we got Elisa. But sexy female Tekken Force was another, so kind of like a psychotic evil version of Lars. It's actually a really cool idea, and the concept art looks great. I just included it because it's one of the best examples of epic boob armor that I've ever seen. Official models and cosplayers, I actually have an anecdote about that. I was sitting in an arcade in Japan when Tekken 7 was new on arcade and just playing, and all of a sudden Nobi sits down right next to me and starts like practicing Lars, and then more and more people come in, and they were trying to get a tournament going, but they didn't have enough players, so they brought in models dressed up as Lily and one other character, and they started walking around the arcade and trying to talk to guys and be all sexy and like, do you want to play some Tekken? Do you want to do a tournament? It's going to be so much fun. I'll cheer for you. I'll sit next to you, and kind of trying to get a bit more interest and stuff going with their tournament. But that's something that they've been doing, for a long time. Girls Power ad, that's actually one of the weird ones that made me start thinking about this. It's an ad for Tekken Tag 2. It's not that long ago, it's the last game of the franchise before 7, where they again got models in and they try and do like bedroom ice, and they have like a photo shoot with them, and they turn that into an ad for the game. Girls Power, plural, so bad grammar as well, but kind of weird. Elisa's blood-filled tits is a fun one, because when you play Tekken Revolution and you got Elisa, you had to play her a lot and you had to collect blood or blood seals, and when you had enough of them you could unlock big boobs for the character. And I guess the implication was that she had sucked so much blood out of people that she had filled her tits up with them, which is horrifying, because they would probably be like big and purple, and if you punch her really hard they'd probably explode all over the screen. If they put that in Tekken 8, even fewer people will main this character. Live action movie orgy. I actually watched both of the Tekken live action films, and they are funny bad, so I do recommend them, because they are so bad they're pretty hilarious. But there's a lot of sex scenes and stuff going on. One when Kazuya is having like an all-night orgy with Nina and Anna and their sisters, so that's not creepy at all. It's just weird how it's so obviously an exploitation film, and they just go, balls to the wall when it comes to, tits and ass, which I guess is in line with what Tekken as a franchise is really about. I put Dr. Boskonovich's experiments here because I was reading up on this character. A really fun thing about him is he's officially written as a character who has no ill will towards anyone, who's just a really, really nice guy and does no evil. But you know how Nina and Anna are cryogenically frozen? Well, Dr. Boskonovich created Steve as sort of a daughter/clone using Nina's eggs, which means that he's a great guy, but when he has a frozen, passed out woman, he's going to experiment with the inside of her vagina. So, and then he has that creepy thing where he's creating, sex doll version of his own dead daughter. There's that whole thing as well. Creepy, weird character doing creepy stuff as well. And then we get into more fun, obscure stuff. So the second live action movie is called Kazuya's Revenge, and a character shows up in it called Chloe. And I looked it up, and this came out the exact same year as Chloe was first revealed as a character. So even though she's not called Lucky Chloe in the film, it is a reference to the Lucky Chloe character, and she has the same sort of blonde hairstyle and whatever. But in this film, Kazuya has lost all his memories. It's one of those amnesia movies, because that hasn't been done before. But he's got a traumatic scene where he's lying down unconscious, having like dreams about childhood trauma and being fucked up by Heihachi. And while he's doing that and he's passed out, Lucky Chloe just sits on him and starts fucking him. And then when he wakes up, she kind of shrugs and walks off. It's really, really weird. But that happens. Steve autographing Xiao Yu's tits is a fun one. I started reading Tekken comics, Image Comics. It looks like Spawn have done Tekken comics in the past, and there's a lot of manga. But one I read was about a tournament where Xiao Yu is kind of an interviewer at the venue, and she thinks Steve is really hot, and she asks for an autograph. And when he's about to sign her shirt, she pulls it up and wants him to sign on her tits. She does have a shirt underneath, but in the next panel they kind of zoom out, so you can't really tell if it's really there. So that's convenient. Female Paul is another fun character concept. They have a lot of like character concepts that they haven't done yet, like Female Tekken Force, but this is just Paul transforms somehow into a sexy lady, and instead of the hair on top, he's got two big rocket tits, I'm assuming. But it was thrown out. It was funny wording because the concept was too off the wall, as opposed to karate grizzly bears and stuff. But I'm thinking maybe they meant it literally. Maybe they do have a sexy female Paul on the wall at the office, and they just don't want to take that concept literally off the wall. Who knows? Maybe they like looking at it too much. Marduk is a rapist murderer. This one is pretty interesting. So a lot of people know that Armor King in the game right now is not the original Armor King. The first Armor King died, and the current Armor King is his brother. It's kind of like James Bond. You know, they've got split duties on the character, but the first Armor King actually died in a fight with Marduk. So I don't know if he's a murderer. He's more of a manslaughterer. But there's a famous cinematic. It got some attention a while ago, where Marduk is fighting Anna, and he's hitting on her, and she rejects him. So you beat her up, and then in the next cinematic, he's got her passed out body that he just, he punched the shit out of her, and he's dragging her with him. I mean, the implication is that he's going to drag her unconscious body into an alien gorilla. Fuck it. I don't think there's any other way to interpret it. So, it's pretty weird. But now I want to get to the most fun thing that I found, and that's the Maxim photo shoot that I talked a little bit about in the beginning of this video, because it turns out that there is real official Tekken porn. And I know that, we could get into Rule 34 stuff and whatever. There's all kinds of stuff out there, but what I wanted to do with this one is it has to be stuff that is like official, that actually comes from the people who make this game. It has to be, officially licensed stuff. And Maxim is apparently magazine for like horny dudes. It's kind of a Playboy sort of a thing, and they did a photo shoot with a couple of models dressed up as characters from the game when Tekken 5 DR was launching, and you can find some of the images quite easily. It's just the girls in like a locker room doing stuff, but they get more and more explicit, and finding all of them is really, really difficult. And it feels to me like there's been a deliberate effort by Namco to actually hide this or get this to go away, but you can find them on some weird French websites. And I have them. I guess I'm going to show something here, trying to keep it safe for YouTube. But the characters eventually get completely naked and start showering and rubbing their tits together and stuff. So it is, it's full on, so to speak. It's also a little bit weird that the characters that these girls are supposed to be dressing up as, even though they're not underage themselves, are supposed to be like 16 years old, or round about there. So it's a weird move, but stuff like this just sort of keeps showing up with this franchise, and it feels so old, and it feels weird, uncomfortable, but if you look at it the right way, also really, really funny. So I'm going to keep on working on this. Send me more stuff, give me more information, and then maybe I'll do the full Tekken Iceberg with everything I found. But it was literally, it's already at over like 200 entries, so it's going to be really, really big if that eventually happens. But I just wanted to give you a little fun update video for Easter. If you are celebrating, I hope you have a great Easter. And you get, I guess, lots of eggs. I don't really know how Easter's supposed to work. It's never really been a huge thing, even though I'm going to try and do like a thing for my girlfriend today, hide an egg with some candy and stuff. But thank you so much for watching this. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys again very soon.